Welcome to Abuse Exposed, a podcast about the secret of abuse. Each episode, we deliver intriguing Christian and personal experiences on abuse and how to overcome it. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional mental or medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified mental health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical or mental condition. Now, here's your host, live from Texas, ISpeakMotivate.
Hello, this is ISpeakMotivate, and I am very excited to complete with you all episode 5, Parentification, the Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. Now, Gabriel Fernandez was only 8 years old when his mother, Pearl, and her boyfriend, Azaro Aguirre, viciously murdered him. The Netflix documentary revealed how he was steadily let down by the community around him when he required support the most. LA Times journalist Garrett Theroff reported in the trials of Gabriel Fernandez exactly how over 8 months Gabriel was subjected to dreadful cruelty, which encompassed consistent beatings, being shot in the face with a BB gun, required to eat cat litter, locked in a cupboard for hours, and pepper sprayed. The painful torture ultimately ended when his mother and her boyfriend beat him to death. Now, today's topic, again, is parentification. And that is when a child is forced to take on the role of an adult. Many children get pushed into the role of caretaker for their younger siblings or become the referee in their parents' arguments. When caregivers aren't able to fully show up for themselves, children get put into developmentally inappropriate situations. Now, just going into his story. Gabriel repeatedly composed notes to his mom, declaring he would kill himself and that he just wants to be a good boy. Days before he was murdered, he wrote a card to his mom telling her all the things he loved about her. Okay? And with parentification, their worth is often tied directly to what they can provide to others and how good they are. No matter what, you want to please your parents, okay? And these are some signs that you are parentified as a child from Psychology Today. And they are: if you grew up feeling like you had to be responsible, trouble with play or letting loose, like to feel in control, pulled into arguments or issues between caregivers, felt like you were given responsibilities that were not appropriate for someone your age, often compliments for being so good and so responsible, may feel that being self-reliant is better than trying to trust others, don't really remember being a kid, parents had trouble caring for themselves or others and placed the responsibility on you. You often find yourself becoming a caregiver for others. Being a caretaker feels good even when you are sacrificing parts of yourself. Heightened sense of empathy and an ability to more closely connect with others. Feel like you need to be the peacemaker. Feel like your efforts aren't appreciated. Now, when we watched the documentary, we saw that we actually heard that his teacher stated that he wouldn't even go outside. He would just stay inside and help the teacher. He was so withdrawn from his classmates. But if you think about it, why are you playing outside when that's going to be temporary? Because you know what you have to go home to. My mom's on drugs. I don't know how I'm going to be beat today. I know I'm going to be beat or tortured, but I just don't know what way today. In what ways can I protect myself? In which ways can I be good? Which is AKA not making the abuser angry. So this is what this little kid is going through every day. You can imagine the anxiety that and fear he's going through to not even go outside because his mindset isn't on playing. Why? He doesn't have that luxury of being a kid. No, he has to make sure that mom and boyfriend are okay and are not going to be triggered by anything he does, because what does he know? Something negative is going to follow. So he has to create a plan to survive in his own home. War is within the home. Horror is in the walls. And he is trying to make sure that he combats it before he gets home. But you know what? When it comes to trying to go against and create plans to not be abused, a lot of times it doesn't work. It either delays it or you end up doing something that makes it worse than what you would have had because you thought that the abuser was going to do this, but they flipped out and did this to you, and you had this plan in place. And that's the thing. With abuse, it is very shocking, surprising, and erratic behavior, and you don't know what's going to trigger the abuser at any moment, okay? And so the thing that got me was that he had all these scars and burns and everything, all these horrific marks on his body, but he still wanted to create that Mother's Day card to let his mother know how much he still loved her, and make sure she was okay, to make sure she knew she was loved. And that's that parentification right there. He is making sure mom's okay. But in reality, as parents, you're supposed to be the ones who make sure your babies are okay, for protected love, loved, safe, encouraged. That is a parent's job, not for a child to make sure their parent is okay in those aspects. But what happens is abusers are so selfish, they make sure the victim waits on them hand and foot, and will make sure that nothing is ever going to be good enough. I believe in a previous episode I talked about it. With abusers, you always try to reach a certain level, but every time you get to that part of the lever, it's going to change. You're going to push it up higher, no matter what you do. They want you to get straight A's. You get straight A's. Oh, you got straight A's in easy classes, so those don't really count. So there you go, diminishing you again. And it's an unfortunate thing. Now, the thing is that this young man dealt with so much pain internally and externally. And we need to learn from his story how to heal, how to move forward, and most importantly, to prevent and to protect ourselves and others from future abuse. Now, if you went through parentification and things like that, We're going to talk about how to get in touch with your inner child. And Psychology Today has great examples, and they are: become aware, accept that you have an inner child, and get to know it. You need to take this voice seriously and understand that whether you like it or not, it's there. Get to know what your inner child needs. Many kids grow up learning that their needs aren't important, or they need to squash them in order to survive. Listening to yourself and acknowledging your needs can be a totally foreign concept. What we did not receive from our caregivers as children is exactly what we need. This is totally true. Growing up, if you were blessed to get out of an abusive household and be able to leave, you often like and do anything else someone tells you because you're just programmed that way. That's your foundation of making sure everybody's okay. Making sure everybody's okay. Don't care about self. Don't care about self. I will do this to make sure that their feelings don't get hurt, and you're destroying yourself. And then you wonder why you feel as if you don't have identity, or you feel angry, or you feel disappointed, sad, depressed. Is because we are programmed to know that your needs don't matter. You don't cry because you used to get beaten for showing your emotions or your pain. And so in order to survive, you keep your emotions to yourself. They don't matter. It just matters about everything else. And you know what happens? Other people start seeing that. And we're talking about the cycles of abuse. Say, for example, you got away from your parents. But when people see that you're just serving everyone else and you don't care about yourself, even to destruction, more predators come. And then there's another cycle of abuse that occurs. I had a situation with me as well where I was in a domestic violence situation because that relationship structure wasn't foreign to me. I was used to being intertwined with love and being put down or demeaned as a part of love. So I was used to that. I didn't see it as unhealthy at all because I grew up in that situation as a child. So it wasn't foreign to me, So that's why I wanted to speak with you guys, because we have to heal, because we can get away from abuser number one, but if we don't heal, we can end up being 50, 60, 70, having a relationship with an abuser, and is abuser number 20, and we're wondering why this keeps on happening. And it's because they see that, you're loving and compassionate and open to help at any turn, even if it destroys you. And the predator's like, yeah, that's exactly who I need. That's exactly who I need. And getting the healing helps us to gain self-confidence and to make sure that we have boundaries, which is so important, because I definitely did not have boundaries with people and let people run over me and things like that, and just say yes to anything because, again, I was scared, I was fearful. And so, you guys, it's very important for us to heal so we don't end up being in a cycle of just having an abuser with a different face because of our foundation and because of our programming predators seem like, oh yeah,